The concept of table for GXquery is the general table concept, that is to say, a number of elements organized in rows and columns. The amount of columns is a fixed number, while the number of rows varies depending on the number of records to recover from the database. By using the GXquery web console, we will define a query to show all the tourist attractions on a table. For each attraction, we want to have its name, category, meaning if it's a monument or museum or other, and the corresponding city, and country. We then access GXquery's web console and select New Table. The name we will use for this query is Attractions Detail. We view the table in its addition mode, containing different areas. Now, from the Attributes window, we drag country name, city name, category name, and attraction name over this area. To view the result ordered by country name, we also drag the country name attribute over this area. We now press the View button to see the results. We should remember that once an attribute is dragged over any of the areas available, it becomes a query element. Let's then note that the headers of columns are not the ones desired, so we will modify them from the Properties panel corresponding to the query elements. For the country name element, we set the description country. For the city name element, city. For the category name element, category. And for the attraction name element, we set the description attraction. The table also enables us data filtering functions like the pivot table. Supposing then that we only want to view the tourist attractions registered for France and Italy, we then return to the table addition mode and drag the country name attribute over the filter area. From this window, we select Italy and France and then press OK. If we press View again, getting back to the edit mode, we will delete the filter and see that it's also possible to not indicate specific filters to solve the query. Upon executing it, from the country column, it's possible to select the countries we wish to see. By way of example, let's delete Brazil, China, and Egypt. We will now see that it's possible to export the result of the table to different formats. For instance, let's export it to the PDF format. This is the result we will obtain. Let's see all the countries again. Even when we have mentioned this in previous videos, we should recall that once a query is designed, it's possible to add different views of it, either as pivot table or as a chart. For example, let's add a view as pivot table. To do so, we press Add Pivot Table. When we save the query, it'll be stored with both views. Now let's see another example. We'll create a query with table output, which will allow the filtering of passengers younger than a specific age. But we want the age value to be specified by the user at the time of executing the query. To solve this, we will not use a simple filter as we saw in the previous example. Rather, we will define a filter with parameter. Creating a filter with parameter enables users to specify the value of the filter upon executing the query. So, we will create a new table under the name Passengers, Minor, Certain Age. And we drag the passenger passport, passenger last name, passenger name, and passenger age attributes. Now we will create a parameter. So we choose More Actions, Parameters, and then press Insert. From the Properties window, we can modify the name, the description, and the data type of the parameter if necessary. Let's then define our parameter with the name Passenger Age. Also, we set as description Passenger Age, and then verify that the data type is numeric with no decimals. Now we go back to editing our query and drag the attribute passenger age over the filter area, and we get the following dialog. Here we must indicate the criteria to be used for filtering and whether a parameter will also be used as the filter value. Note that, in this case, because it is a numeric filter, the passenger's age, we can select all the criteria possible for numeric comparison. The filter selection varies depending on the data type. In this case then, we select that the passenger age be less than the age established in the filter. That is to say, passenger age is less than, and then we click on the parameters icon to select the parameter we just defined. We press OK, and we see the definition of the filter to be applied. We press OK, and now the passenger age parameter is part of our query. Let's see the results in runtime by pressing View. To enter a value for the parameter, we press Refresh. The box appears requesting the value of the parameter to be considered. Let's set, for example, 40. So we view all passengers younger than 40. We press OK, and we see the result. Let's press Refresh to enter a new value, like 55. And we see the results. We can do this to define and combine several parameters to be applied jointly and help us filter the information in a better way. We could, for example, request a date period and view all flights during that period.